Happy Tuesday. So this week, meteorologist Alex Schneider visited Nick Petro with the National Weather Service in Raleigh to teach us about their Skywarn program.
Now, this involves spotting threats from storms, reporting the threat to the National Weather Service, and the importance of that relationship between the community and the National Weather Service, too.
Skywarn is a program that was developed by the National Weather Service as a way to get volunteers to be the eyes and ears of the National Weather Service. The challenges that we have as warning meteorologists is that the tools that we use to help detect severe weather basically tell us what's happening in the sky. So the volunteer network of our weather spotters tell us what's actually happening on the ground.
How does having a network of people sending in reports and what they're seeing help the National Weather Service? And why is it important for people to send in reports of trees down, power outages, and rainfall totals?
The spotter program is especially important because it helps us in our warning decision program, our warning decision making. You know, if we see something on radar that would imply, damaging winds or large hail or flooding at the ground level, we're always looking for confirmation so that we know that what we see and what we expect is truly happening. If a storm has a history of producing severe weather, then our confidence is much greater that that threat will continue if the storm continues to strengthen or stay the same.
If people want to be involved in reporting severe weather and learning more about spotting severe weather threats, the Skywarn class is a great place to start. Nick Petro provides a sneak peek into what to expect during a Skywarn spotter training class. One of the main topics that is covered includes measuring the size of a hailstone. It's important to know how to properly measure the size and to reference the correct objects when sending in a report.
At the National Weather Service, we frequently get reports of marble-sized hail. But as this graphic demonstrates, marbles come in all different sizes. So when people want to report hail, it's better to reference an object of fixed and known size. Oftentimes we like to tell folks to use the size of a coin when referencing hail size, because if you report marble-sized hail, that could we really don't know how large the hail truly is.
While hail may seem severe no matter the size, there's a specific size that warrants a warning from the National Weather Service for a thunderstorm producing hail.
Typically, we issue severe thunderstorm warnings once we see the hailstone reaching the size of a quarter or an inch or larger, because it's about that size where we start to see damage as a result of the hail hitting objects on the ground.
Whenever scary-looking clouds move through the triad, meteorologists receive numerous photos of the clouds, thinking it may be a tornado or a funnel cloud. However, there's a very specific thing to look for before sending in those pictures.
One thing that we tell our spotters is to look for is these lowering of the cloud bases that we call a wall cloud, and to see if it's try to see if it's rotating. There are a lot of things that are wall cloud and tornado and funnel cloud lookalike. So the number one key thing to remember when you see something that you think is a wall cloud or even a funnel cloud or perhaps even a tornado, what you think might be a tornado, is to make sure it's rotating.
What are some clouds that people may confuse for a tornado or a funnel cloud, and why do some clouds appear to be tornado lookalikes?
Here's a scattered cumulus cloud that just happens to be forming lower than the rest of the cloud. And things like this happen frequently. You can see all these little dips in the clouds. This is not a tornado. This is just a function of the moist air condensating very rapidly closer to the ground than the rest of the cloud. And we oftentimes refer to those as scud clouds.
Some people reference funnel clouds and tornadoes as though they're the same thing. However, there's a key difference between the two.
You could tell the difference between a funnel cloud and a tornado very easily. A funnel cloud and a tornado are both violently rotating columns of air, but the funnel cloud is not in contact with the ground where the tornado is. So once a funnel cloud touches the ground, then the name changes to a tornado.
There's a main reason why certain parts of the Tar Heel State see more tornadoes than the others.
And the reason that we have the highest number of tornadoes occurring in the I-95 corridor is simply because of the ingredients of a tornado. You need a lot of heat and a lot of humidity to fuel and feed the supercell thunderstorms that produce tornadoes.
Now that we know a few of the ways to spot tornadoes and how to measure hail, it's also important to know how to send in what we're seeing to the National Weather Service and how we can get involved in their network of storm spotters.
We have about 2,500 spotters just in Central North Carolina, those who have taken the class and have gone through the training and report severe weather to us. So absolutely, yeah, with nearly every severe weather episode, we have spotters who in some way see it, observe it, and report it to us. Folks can easily get severe weather reports to us a variety of ways, whether it's on their cell phone, whether it's on our social media channels, or simply calling us.
Now, if you want to be a trained storm spotter, there are two ways you can take the free Skywarn class: in person or online. Easiest way to get started is go to weather.gov/Raleigh and then /Skywarn. You'll see links to virtual classes. They've got an hour-long YouTube training with a test at the end. Plus, they've got a list of upcoming in-person classes too. And I think a lot of people, of every age, are looking for a way to get involved in the community. What's a way I can give back?
Yeah.
This really comes into play when there are severe storms, as long as you kind of stay up to date on the training. Anybody, anywhere can be there.
I think it'd be very interesting to do as well.
Oh, you would learn so much about
Oh,
weather,
yes.
but they make it easy for you as far as
Yeah.
doing that online class, or you might learn a little more from the in-person too, but check it out if you want to.